And we are live. Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to go over today. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. There's a lot of juicy thing that's been going on out there, man. Okay, there's a lot of there's a lot of juicy thing that's been going on out there. And so, to start off, if you're new to the channel, I'm going through the process of learning about the world. I'm going through the process of learning about mostly geopolitics because whether you like it or not, it affects our life one way or another. And there's not a lot out there that I'm aware of. And so my goal is to stay updated with the news and give you guys what I believe and what I know. And just learn as I go. And pretty much that's kind of my process in this whole thing. Am I going to be able to be 100% right about everything? Most definitely not. Most definitely not. But hey, that ain't going to stop me from learning what's going on out there. So these are the videos that we're going to be reacting to today. Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal joined Matt Gaetz to detail the role of Israel Mossad in fueling the violent riot that ravaged the Iran cities this month. Ooh. Now that's a very, very good one. I have to listen to this because Max Blumenthal is one of those journalists that I trust. All right. Now, do I trust him 100%? Of course not. There's no journalist that you can trust 100% because they're human beings. They're infallible. They make mistakes. And some people, as a matter of fact, later down the line, they switch up. Am I saying that about Max Blumenthal? Nope. But all I'm saying is he's a human being. And so you should not trust a human being 100%. Always leave room for doubt. All right. That's number one. Number two. So our brother Donald Trump is, moving ship to, our greatest, not great, I'm sorry, moving ship near Iran. All right. So we'll go over that. Next one, we're obviously going to go over Trump maximum pressure on Iran is working. So another good journalist over here that we're going to go over. All right. And then, of course, we're going to go over some of the, juicy stuff that's been going on X. And then to top it off, we have to talk about what's going on in, when it comes to pretty much Gaza. They have what you call the master plan now. Pretty much the people who destroyed Gaza now wants to fix Gaza. We'll go over all of that. So, and based off of how the stream goes and how many people join, we'll see if we can even go on even more. But these are the topics that I have collected that we're going to go over. So, for a beginning, let's go ahead and listen to what Max Blumenthal has to say about the supreme leader in Iran.
So is this report of Israeli bullets found in Iranian children a lie to deflect blame and legitimize this terrible action against dissent? Or does it expose something much darker, a foreign intel attempt at turning anger into armed insurgency regardless of the human cost? Joining us now, editor of the Gray Zone News, Max Blumenthal. Max, I was skeptical when I saw these claims that Israeli bullets were found in Iranian children. What do you make of the report?
Well, whether an Israeli bullet was found or not, there are also reports of Soviet-era bullets that have never been used in the Iranian military before. And more than that, you have Israel's Mossad on its official Farsi Twitter X channel telling Iranians at the onset of these protests, before they morphed into violent regime change riots, that they were walking alongside them, that there were Mossad assets in the protests. This was also repeated by former CIA director and ex-Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who said Mossad agents are walking beside you to Iranian protesters. And it was repeated on Israel's Channel 14, a pro-Netanyahu channel, by the Israeli correspondent Tamir Morag, who said that not only are Mossad agents active, but they are funneling weapons into these riots and are responsible, in his words, for the many body bags that are piling up in Iranian morgues.
And so what's the evidence of that, Max? Like, what is the evidence you've reviewed that Mossad agents who, you're right, I mean, a lot of people have been suggesting they were out there involved, were increasing the violence and the acuity of death?
Well, the evidence is that they've said so, that they would like to take credit, or at least partial credit, for this. There are other groups that are backed by Western intelligence and the Israelis, like the Kurdish PJAK separatists, PJAK, who were actively engaged in armed battles against Iranian security forces in the city of Kermanshah, where many were killed. There were armed battles in the city of Mashhad, Iran's second largest city, where $20 million of damage took place. We've seen the burning in Iran and destruction of something like 700 banks, 250 mosques, much of this captured on camera, and the beating to death by mobs, including armed mobs, of Basij guards who are unarmed youth supporters of the Islamic Republic usually.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, none of this really surprised me, to be quite honest with you. After seeing what happened in Gaza, it's just like, okay, it's the same tactic that's being used there. All right, you just create havoc. That's the whole entire goal. Create as much havoc as possible and attack crucial and critical areas, which is of course attacking the police guard, because without police guard, again, the country is unstable. So with all the police guards that have not been eliminated, guess what? Now they're going to be low on men. Crime is most likely going to be ramped up, right? Because the whole entire goal in this is to destabilize Iran as much as possible, to where they are pretty much having to focus on both their population and the strike in which America is most likely going to go ahead and start doing. And Israel also sending bombs over there. And who knows, maybe Azerbaijan also getting involved in it as well. So pretty much they are trying to attack Iran from every single direction and within Iran. That's the whole point of this. This is why this whole entire uprising, obviously, this is why I know for a fact that it's not organic. One. Number two, Iran is majority Muslim. All right. And with that being said, the fact that they are burning mosques tells me that the people who are behind these protests, the people who are wilding up people, obviously are not Muslims. Rather, like Max Blumenthal just said, they're CIA agent, they're Mossad, and they're getting information from outside. Once Starlink got cut off, once the internet got cut off, all of a sudden, the protests cut off dramatically. And so I've been keeping up with this whole situation and trying to understand what's going on underground. Because again, we're not going to know what's going on. We're not. If you sit there and look at CNN, Fox News, or any of these mainstream media to give you the information of what's really going on underground, you are misinformed. I'm going to just go ahead and tell you that right now. You are misinformed because their goal primarily is to get you to be okay with the fact that Trump is about to attack Iran. That's the whole primary goal. They're not going to sit there and tell you that Mossad is starting it. They're not going to sit there and tell you that, America has definitely put a huge amount of sanction on Iran. And because of that, their economy is being crippled. They're not going to tell you none of this stuff. So that's why, I listen to people like Max Blumenthal, because he will tell you these things.
As well as the murder of seminary students, the killing of civilians, and possibly hundreds of police officers. That's according to both opposition and Islamic Republic sources. So what would the United States do if hundreds of police officers were killed with rioters?
Exactly,
I don't think it would be pretty for those rioters, particularly with the rhetoric we hear from Donald Trump against Antifa. But these are foreign intelligence services that are involved here. We also had Reza Pahlavi, who is the so-called crown prince of Iran. He's based here in Potomac, Maryland, in a mansion.
You're right.
And he is backed by Israel explicitly. He went to Israel and kissed the wall.
Of course.
He's friends with Netanyahu.
Yeah, I made videos about this in the past. And yeah, Reza Pahlavi, I'm going to tell you right now, Iranians, if there's any Iranian that come across this, that dude is not working in your favor, because he went on the PBD podcast. Now, I didn't watch the whole entire thing, but I did hear people saying that this dude have no plan when he goes, let's say for the sake of argument that the Iranian regime gets overthrown, all right, and he gets put in power. He has no plan. And that tells me everything that I need to know. He is a puppet that's going to be put in place, and the only person who's going to be telling them what to do is going to be Israel. That's it. He has no plan. So him going on PBD and not giving any plan, guess what? He may say something that's going to go completely against what Benjamin Netanyahu wants. But instead of actually telling people his plan, what does he do? Let's keep watching.
Netanyahu, he called for Iranians to go out and kill government workers, to kill state media journalists. Then you have the People's MEK, which is an armed group that has been based under U.S. protection in Albania, that has cells inside Iran, that has taken credit for a lot of this violence. So I think it's very clear. And so we have to ask why. Why did these protests turn violent And what is the agenda here? What is Israel's agenda? What is Pahlavi's agenda? The agenda is to get Trump to bomb Iran and force and manipulate Trump and the United States into a conflict from which they cannot extricate themselves, which will be financially ruinous for the global economy.
Yeah, we have a lot of members of the MEK on this program to make their case, and we press them on their claims that, like, this is the moment when the regime is going to fall. It has at times like a boy that cries wolf energy to it, which is why we want to hear them out and why we want to press them on those questions. You talk about the goal here, and that's what I want to get to now, because I'm really trying to figure out what chapter of the movie we're in. Obviously, the objective of Prime Minister Netanyahu was to have corresponding riots in the streets and U.S. airstrikes in Tehran. And that did not happen. So where does Bibi go now?
Yeah, so my thought on that whole situation is obviously Bibi is about to get exactly what he wants. This dude has been calling for a war, for regime change in Iran for decades. So that tells me all that I need to know. All the people out there who are constantly crying about the fact that Iran is oppressing their people, if that's the case, why is the protest not organic? You know what I'm saying? Why is it not organic? Why does the United States and Israel have to get involved in order for the people to start getting, to get people wild up? If what the claim is about Iran, hey, it should be organic. People should stand up because they have the power to do so. The army is not going to go around and start gunning everybody down. They have the power to stand up and they have the power to overthrow their supreme leader, Khamenei. But the reason why they haven't done that is because the people, they understand that the reason that their economy is in the position that it's in is simply because America has a huge amount of sanction on it. And this is not allowing Iran to sell their oil like the way they want to. The people understand that. So with the sanction being imposed on Iran, the people are actually becoming more patriotic they're becoming more patriotic. And so the strike not going through after the riot just happening is because the people, they understand the circumstance. They understand this is being done by Israel. They understand that CIA and Mossad are among the people. That's what, and we didn't even see the counter protest because it goes against the narrative. But from the way things are looking, like I said, we got more videos to go through. The way things are looking, it's only a matter of time now before the first strikes happen. But understand this, lot of American lives are about to be destroyed because Iran is a mountainous area. It's not easy to attack Iran. They're literally surrounded by mountain. But let's keep going.
Well, they now have a U.S. carrier group entering the region, entering the Persian Gulf. I don't believe Israel's anti-missile defenses were ready during last week's National Security Council meeting at the White House. And so they may have wanted to delay this. But Israel's intelligence services, along with other foreign malicious actors, including the Crown Prince and other forces.
It's such a joke. I'm sorry. Yeah. I can't even with the Crown Prince thing. Like, this is just the son of some corrupt dude that we put in charge of the country that got run out, that would never be accepted. Like the fever dream that Reza is going to go back and run Iran is just not something that I can even indulge with the Crown Prince label.
It's utterly laughable. He's never worked a day in his life. He left Iran with millions in stolen money. Now he's backed by the Israelis and I assume some of the Gulf states. Trump even knows he can't run the country.
Nobody in the Gulf states is that dumb.
And that's why he had no plan when he went on PBD podcasts. That's why. He knows that, first of all, like Max Blumenthal just said, that Trump knows he can't run. I genuinely believe that he knows that he cannot run Iran. I genuinely believe that. And so him calling for a revolt, him calling for a riot, and so that he can get in power, and on top of that, him kissing the wall tells me all that I need to know. He wants to become a puppet. He wants to be put in a position where he doesn't have to do shit. He is somebody who hasn't worked his entire life, and all of a sudden you want him to take care of a whole entire country? That doesn't even make any sense, for one. All right? So he knows that when he gets put in power, he's not going to be running shit. He's not going to be calling the shot. He knows these things. Let's keep going, man.
Nobody, like, what? Why not just back Aladdin to go run Iran? I
Well-
don't think anyone's that dumb in the Gulf states. But
Well, they don't have an opposition inside Iran to just come in and replace the Islamic Republic, just as they didn't have Maria Corina Machado in Venezuela ready to take over all of the institutions of the Venezuelan state. So they went for a non-regime change option in Venezuela.
But that's the new thing, Max. I mean, you've covered me, you've covered my record in Congress. I'm not some neoconservative, but I think what you're seeing in like the Trump-Vance-Rubio doctrine here is not to change the regime, but just to change someone in it and to try to incrementally improve conditions as a consequence of that. I'm way more skeptical of that in the Middle East than I am in our own backyard in the Americas. But do you think that's what Bibi is hoping for?
So this is one thing you need to understand once a regime does go through and it gets changed. Just think about what happened in Syria. When Bashar al-Assad got overthrown, what Israel did is it went ahead and destroyed almost all its military equipment. So that way, the new leader, which is the T from the head of the terrorists, I'm trying to avoid that because I don't want this, but the head of the terrorist leader who just got put in position that was shaking hand with Donald Trump in office. So that when he gets in, he doesn't, well, flip and then use that equipment against Israel. So now, if the regime change does happen in Syria, understand this. Iran. Not whole thing, but a lot of the military equipment will get destroyed because there will be nothing to defend it. It will get destroyed. So this crown prince or whatever the hell he wants to call himself, if this dude gets put in position, he will not have anything to defend himself. He won't. And so this is going to put him in a position in which he's going to literally leave the door open for America to come in to protect it from whatever neighbor is going to try to attack it. That's the whole game. That's exactly what's going to happen. But we'll see. All I do know is that Iran is not going to go down without a fight because they understand that America and Israel are the one behind whatever is going on in their country right now. They know that. They're not stupid.
That we do the Maduro thing in Iran.
At this point, Trump has been tricked into playing the Israelis' game or incentivized into it by Miriam Adelson, promising that help is on the way.
I'm sorry, he didn't do it.
Let me make
Let
me make my case, which is he promised help was on the way when he wasn't prepared to launch airstrikes. This increased the death toll. It accelerated the rioting.
The reason why help did not come is simply because UAE refused to open up its airbase. That's one. Number two, Saudi Arabia, same thing. They also refused to open up their airbase. Those two countries has unanimously agreed that they're not going to allow America to just fly rocket over their head and into Iran. That's why. So now that has happened, now the vessels are making their way near Iran because that's the only way to attack it is they have to not get near it.
Pahlavi told his followers after Trump said that the final days of the Islamic Republic are here. And now that Trump is pulled back, Pahlavi is on TV along with all the Israeli cutouts in Washington demanding airstrikes because their internal forces can't do it on its own. And here's another point, something that I observed inside Iran. Reform was already quietly taking place. Women were taking off hijab and it wasn't being enforced. And going back to 75% participation in, I believe, the 2015 Iran election in which a reformist was elected, people were voting for diplomacy with the U.S. And what did Trump do? He blew that up. Scott Bessent at Davos said that U.S. sanctions are what was responsible for these riots, and he took credit for it. That's going to lead to a rally around the flag effect, more nationalism, and it's going to weaken the drive for reform inside Iran. As soon as Trump pulls back from this Israeli agenda, you're going to see change inside Iran, but he is playing the Israelis' game. And what does Netanyahu want? He actually wants U.S. casualties. He wants the U.S. to be bogged down in a conflict, and then the U.S. will be forced to focus on that region instead of, for example, China or Ukraine. Netanyahu wants to keep the U.S. focused on his main enemy.
And this is why I say I like Max Blumenthal, because it's like right there. It only makes sense that that's the goal of this whole thing, because Israel cannot take down Iran by itself. It needs America to do so. And in order for a regime change to happen, there needs to be boots on the ground. And the Iranians are not going to back down. This is going to be like Iraq and Afghanistan 2.0. And so a lot of Americans are going to lose their life. Why? Because of, I don't know, they don't want Iran to build a nuke. Literally, it's the same thing that happened. WMD, 20-year war. Have we forgotten about that already? Millions of innocent people died. Thousands of U.S. troops died. All for what? For a weapon that does not exist. And now we're trying to attack Iran. For what? Oh, Iran is a major threat to America. It's not. Trust me, Iran is not a major threat to America, but it's a major threat to the state of Israel. And now thousands of U.S. troops are about to die just because Benjamin Netanyahu, he wants that.
Yeah, I think Netanyahu wants the Middle East awash in war refugees so that there are not rising capital markets in places that aren't New York and London. But the allegation that Trump is just sort of awaiting the moment when Netanyahu says do it is one that I think is misplaced. Here, I think Trump understood that strikes in Tehran weren't going to decapitate the regime. And so they would be strikes sort of with no end and also with no clear victory. And that was what Trump wasn't willing to endure. If there's a presentation that there's indeed some sort of successful regime change without widespread chaos in the Middle East, who knows what the president would do. But I think there's a different weight being applied than just the readiness of Israelis' defenses. But I appreciate you debating with me. Thanks for coming on. Max Blumenthal, editor at the Gray Zone News.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's currently that's the reason why Trump didn't attack. And now, well, again, reason why he didn't attack, I'll get to that in a minute. This is one reason why he didn't attack. UAE says that it will not allow its airspace or territory to be used against Iran. So that's one reason why he didn't attack. All right. And now things have changed, ladies and gentlemen.
President Trump is threatening military action. President Trump says a massive fleet of U.S. ships is heading toward Iran as the country continues its deadly crackdown on protests. President Trump is threatening military action against Iran, citing the country's plans for mass executions and its killing of peaceful protesters.
I also forgot about that as well. So there was a list of Mossad agents that were in Iran. And the Iranian government actually caught about 800 of them. I'm not going to say they're all Mossad, actually. Let me go ahead and take that back. I'm not going to say all of them are Mossad, but I will probably say that the majority of them were Mossad. And so Iran threatened that if they attack, it's going to execute these people alive. And so that's another reason why the strike did not happen. So now we have three. UAE, Saudi Arabia, they did not want their airspace to be used to strike. And then Iran also had hostages, and it says that if it attacks, it's definitely going to go ahead and execute them live. Another reason, I'm just guessing this, is that Iran also threatened that it will attack the military base that are surrounding it. We'll get to that one in a little bit.
837, mostly young men, were going to be hung on Thursday. And I said, if you hang those people, you're going to be hit harder than you've ever been hit.
The president claims Iran canceled those hangings, though Iran's top prosecutor denies that. So far, more than 5,000 people have been killed in the protest crackdown, according to the U.S.-based human rights activist news agency. And now, an American aircraft carrier group is moving closer to the Middle East.
We have a massive fleet heading in that direction, and maybe we won't have to use it. We'll see.
Maybe you won't have to use it? What the f does that even mean? I'm sorry. No. You only attack when you know for a fact that you're gonna use it. You don't say, I'm not gonna use it. Meanwhile, you're literally at their border. That doesn't mean, that's a threat. Imagine if Chinese ship were literally on the coast of Florida. You know what I mean? And then Xi Jinping is saying, oh, we know, just a measure. We're not gonna use it, but you know, who knows? It's a threat. Americans will be on high alert. They will be like, yo, these ships are here and we need to make sure if anything flies from there, we need to, take action right away. That's exactly what Iran is going to be doing now. You're bringing ships there because they're expecting an attack at any moment. Oh my God.
with Iran have been high since the country began a violent crackdown on protests that started December 28th over the collapse of Iran's currency. Iranian authorities have cut off access to the internet since January 8th.
I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching it very closely.
Iran's foreign minister said if attacked, the country will, quote, fire back with everything we have. President Trump also...
Oh my God, this is going to be a bloodbath. We are on the climax of history currently. We are on the climax, and this is not going to end well. Because if you understand, when the riot was happening, Russia actually helped Iran shut down the internet. Did you know that? So Russia is actually helping Iran. So if Iran gets attacked, maybe Russia might get involved. Because if you've been keeping up with the Russian news lately, man, that one is getting wild. Vladimir Putin has literally threatened Europe with nuclear strike because they said that's the only language these people understand. I mean, look what's been happening in Ukraine. Even though we understand that the Ukrainians are losing the battle, yet America is still supporting it. Vladimir Putin is now saying the only language these people understand is if a bomb drops. If you don't believe me, Tucker Carlson just had an interview with one of the closest people to Vladimir Putin, and he was dropping all these gems. He said if Vladimir Putin gets taken out, which they tried to take him out, by the way, he said if Vladimir Putin gets taken out, it's done for Europe. They're just going to go mayhem.
Said countries that do business with Iran will soon face a 25% tariff. In Washington, I'm Maddie Beertemple.
So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and let you guys know about that. It's getting really, really wild out there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, man. In my personal opinion, it's a bad idea. America should not be getting involved whatsoever. This is Israel's war. But we understand from the get-go that Israel gets what Israel wants. I mean, these people have been committing genocide in the Middle East, and yet America still continues to send them billions of dollars in weapon and in money. We are still supporting these people. They've lost, like the whole entire world has turned against Israel, and yet America is still standing there side by side. This is not just ally. They're not ally. You guys do realize Israel is not really an ally of America, right? Because when the 20-year war was happening, other European countries actually went and helped out America in Afghanistan and Iraq, but Israel never did. What kind of ally is that? And now Israel wants America to attack Iran. Guess what? When that happened, Israel understands that it will not join that battle. It's gonna be a bloodbath. Iran is not like it's not like Afghanistan and Iraq. It's not like that. It's not like Lebanon. It's not like Syria. Iran has weapons of mass destruction, not nuclear bomb, but ballistic missile, things that can do a massive amount of damage. Israelis, they're not that huge in number. You need to understand that they are not that huge in number. They need to still have reserve in case the Palestinians decide to continue fighting. They need to have reserve in case Turkey decides to say, okay, we're getting involved in the Gaza situation. They need to have reserve for all of that. So this whole war getting started, guess what? Israel's not going to get involved. Mark my word. They will not get, maybe, just maybe, cross your finger, they might send a few bombs here and there. But ultimately, they're not going to get involved. Trust me on that. With that being said, let's go on to our next topic, which is, this is going to be by Propaganda Co. Trump maximum pressure on Iran is working. Let's see why it's working. Now, if you're new here, I just went ahead and explained the situation. It'll make a lot more sense if you understand that Trump has a lot of, has a huge amount of sanction on Iran. So, which is why he's saying that maximum pressure on Iran is working. I haven't seen this video yet, but let's see exactly what he means by that.
There has been a massive propaganda push to instigate regime change in Iran, and it's happening at a very dangerous moment when the world economy is already fragile, energy markets are volatile, and one major regional war could send global prices spiraling overnight. What we're watching isn't just unrest in Iran. We're watching the familiar buildup of a regime change narrative, the kind that's used to justify another catastrophic war in the Middle East. What started out as innocent and harmless protests by business owners demonstrating against rising inflation and the collapsing Iranian currency quickly devolved into violent riots that targeted police stations, military barracks, mosques, markets, banks, hospitals, and innocent civilians. As a result, several thousand people were killed. In response to that, Trump has sent an armada to the Gulf region. The USS Abraham Lincoln, with its 90 fighter jets and attack helicopters, along with an escort of missile cruisers, destroyers, and other accompanying vessels, has now arrived in the Gulf within striking range of Iran.
So now, this is going to remind me of what happened during the USSR Liberty, okay? So now with those ships in those areas, what if Israel pulls what it did during the USSR Liberty? With deception thou shalt start war. What if that's what happened? What if now that the ships are near Iran, now the reason why Israel attacked USSR Liberty, right, is simply to start a war with Egypt. It wanted America to start a war with Egypt. Cool. And guess what? Israel did it in unmarked planes, which is a war crime, by the way. So now that we know the vessels have not gone near Iran, what is going to prevent Israel from attacking one of those vessels in unmarked ship and blame it on Iran? Because right now, they need any excuse imaginable to attack Iran. Even though we knew that Mossad were among the Iranian causing havoc, Trump still went out of his way to say that if one protester dies, they're going to get involved. And guess what we understood? Mossad was gunning down people, giving Trump an excuse to attack Iran. Since that didn't happen, now that the vessel is near, guess what? Iran doesn't want war with America. But Israel wants America to attack Iran. So what excuse would there be? Let's keep going.
Says, we have a lot of ships going that direction, just in case. I'd rather not see anything happen, but we're watching them very closely. And the Turkish foreign minister has said that there are signs Israel will attack Iran. Now, there are many questions that need answers. Is Iran really massacring protesters? Is Trump serious about attacking Iran? Is all of this for democracy and freedom, or is it just another imperial campaign of conquest on behalf of the United States and Israel? In this video, I'll take you through all the propaganda and reveal the truth about what this is really all about. On January 2nd, Trump tweeted a threat to Iran demanding that they don't kill any protesters. Quote, if Iran shoots and violently kills peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. This tweet revealed everything you need to know about the situation in Iran. I'll summarize it for you by reading one of my tweets that I posted to Propaganda & Co. on X. I've said this already, but this is why the Mossad-backed rioters have been so violent. They want to manufacture a narrative that triggers mass protests. Why? To justify aggressive involvement by the US and Israel. This is why Trump keeps posting about being with the protesters. They need people to die so they can make their move. They invented a red line, and they are manufacturing the crossing of it to create a pretext to flood Iran with weapons.
Just like how they also invented a yellow line in Gaza. Anybody who crosses the yellow line will get killed.
They need proxies on the ground to do the fighting, because the only alternative is a direct war, and they are finding it incredibly difficult to justify that war to the American public. The violent riots by the Mossad-backed provocateurs and the government crackdown that followed produced over 3,000 casualties. In response, millions of Iranians poured into the streets and demonstrated in support of the government. It became clear that the Mossad plan to instigate regime change from within had failed, but that hasn't stopped Western media from spreading absurd lies about the riots. This entire spectacle was a Zionist regime change operation designed to justify another war in the Middle East. Just take a look at this headline. Worst daily massacre since the Holocaust. 24 hours of hell in Iran, over 16,000 killed.
So you see, this is the problem right here. Okay, worse. Okay. First of all, that number is it's not accurate. I'll tell you that right now. These people are trying to just boost as much envy and hatred in the hearts of people as much as possible. So of course they're gonna make up random ass numbers just to get people wild up. Number one. Number two, what happened in Gaza wasn't a massacre. That wasn't. In just 2 years, you telling me what? Over what? Half a million people, let's just say. They're estimating that over 500,000 people have been killed. What, you telling me that all of those people were Hamas? Yeah, these people are inconsistent. This is why I just don't like the mainstream media, man. This is why I go to independent journalists like this guy.
Bold claim, and it isn't the only one. There are over 77 reports from media platforms pushing inflated casualty figures in Iran. I wonder why. CBS, for example, reported over 12,000 feared dead after Iran protests as videos show bodies lined up at the morgue. Now, it's obvious what's happening here. Western media is inflating the death toll and framing it as a massacre of innocent protesters in order to manufacture subconscious consent to make the average American emotionally accept a US and Israeli attack on Iran, even if they'd otherwise want nothing to do with another war in the Middle East. Now, luckily, people can see through these lies using tools like Ground News. I use Ground News to help research with this video, and it revealed just how propagandized this narrative was. Let me show you. As I mentioned earlier, Ground News tracked 77 different articles, all the propaganda in the media coverage. Now, if we revisit this ridiculous published by Holocaust in Iran agenda in the media coverage. Now, if we revisit this ridiculous headline about a Holocaust in Iran, we can see that the article has low factuality, and it's published by Pamela Geller, a far right-wing Islamophobe and Jewish Zionist propagandist. Scrolling down, we can find another article by Fox News titled Iran accused of killing 16,500 in sweeping genocide crackdown. Ground News immediately reveals crucial information about this Fox News article. Firstly, that its factuality is mixed, which means you should take it with a massive grain of salt. And B, Fox News is owned by the Murdoch family, right-wing neocon warmongers who have spent decades beating the drums of war in the Middle East. Ground News also reveals something extremely important about how propaganda spreads online. If I hover over this icon, I can see that 4 other platforms are repeating the Fox News article as a source, spreading the headline even further through Google search results and social media feeds. As the saying goes, repeat a lie enough times and it becomes the truth. This tactic is exactly what Ground News just tracked and exposed in real time. So it's
down with that quote, repeat a lie enough and it becomes true. Is that in case there's no opposition? There's nobody going against what's going on? Because there's a lot of journalists out there, independent journalists, that are actually going against the grain. Although we have mainstream media, today, people's trust in mainstream media is at all-time low. And I'm among those people. I don't like the mainstream media. That's number one. Number two, you got people like this who are actually showing you what's going on the ground, like people like Max Blumenthal. They're telling you, hey, this is what's going on. The mainstream media is lying to us. So, yeah.
Abundantly clear to me that there is a propaganda campaign to justify another war in the Middle East, and that is what Ground News is built to expose. So I use Ground News because it makes these regime change operations impossible to hide behind. You literally see the information war in real time. So that's why I chose to partner with them, because if you're watching my channel, you're already someone who wants to see behind the veil of power and propaganda. So if you actually want to see through the information war,
all right, let's get to it.
Advantage, and it's all became a platform for Mossad-backed agents to engage in destabilizing riots in Iran. You first need to understand just how bad the Iranian economy has become. On December 26th, 2025, an Al Jazeera headline read, quote, Iran's government budget reveals tough road ahead as currency hits new low. Prices of basic items like food are only expected to grow over the coming months as Iranians get poorer. 2 days later, Iranian business owners, trade unions, and the merchant class carried out mass demonstrations against rising inflation and the cost of living. Now, the economics of it all is complicated, but the explanation is actually quite simple. US sanctions have devastated the Iranian economy. In 2012, Iran's GDP was $644 billion. In 2025, Iran's GDP was only $350 billion. That is more than a 45% collapse in gross domestic product. Now, taking a quick look at this chart, you can track the changes in Iran's GDP over time. Warmongering neocons and Zionists were pressuring Barack Obama to go to war with Iran over its nuclear program. With the trauma of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars still fresh in the minds of everyday Americans, Obama knew he couldn't do that. So he decided to use another weapon of war: Sanctions. In just 1 year, from 2012 to 2013, Iran's GDP plummeted by over $140 billion. This pressured Iran to engage in negotiations with the United States and other Western countries over its nuclear program.
So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The people who are putting huge amount of sanction on Iran are the ones that are telling you that Iranians want to be free. The people who are telling other countries that if you do any business with Iran, you are going to get hit with a 25% tariff, are the same people who are telling you Iranians want to be free. The same people who send billions of dollars to Israel and billions of dollars worth of weapons to Israel to continue committing genocide on the Gazans are the same people that are now telling you that Iranians want to be free. You just have to look at this pattern, ladies and gentlemen, and understand that this war is not for the benefit of Iranians. Rather, this war is for our greatest ally, because our greatest ally in the Middle East knows that with Iran in that area, their greater goals of greater Israel they won't be able to achieve, but they have a bigger things in mind. Turkey is a power in which they are also afraid of. But right now they want to do it piece by piece. They want to destabilize piece by piece.
Negotiations began in 2013 and were called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, otherwise known as the JCPOA. For 2 years, Iranian diplomats negotiated to scale back their nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. But all throughout the negotiations, Obama maintained the sanctions on Iran. So by 2015, Iran's GDP had shrunk another $90 billion. That same year, Iran and the US agreed to the JCPOA, much to the chagrin of the Zionists who wanted America to go to war and destroy the Islamic Republic instead. Benjamin Netanyahu humiliated Obama by flying to the US and speaking before Congress in an attempt to encourage lawmakers to sabotage the agreement. The deal went through anyway, and while the US didn't lift all the sanctions.
Imagine that, ladies and gentlemen. The people who are welfare queen, taking money from the United States of America. Without America, they can't survive. The leader of that state is now coming to the United States of America and telling the leaders what to do. What? Oh my God, dude. Oh, see, this is why people are saying that America is controlled by Israel, bruh. Imagine that. Imagine him coming into the United States and then telling the Americans, I need more of your soldiers to go die for us. That's the conclusion of that. Not only am I going to take your money and usurp your money to where your citizens are not going to be living, they're not going to be living by their means. They have to get like multiple jobs in order for them to get more money. Not only are they going to usurp the wealth, now they're going to come and demand the president of the United States to send more troops to the Middle East so that way they can die for Israel. I mean, hey, again, everything is spelled out for us, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not gonna lie to you, everything is just spelled out for us. This is ridiculous.
They did ease some of them against Iran. As a result, in 2016, Iran's GDP increased by $50 billion. In 2017, Iran's GDP increased another $30 billion. But this progress was short-lived. Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton and became president of the United States. Right. In May of 2018, Trump withdrew from the JCPOA at the behest of his Zionist masters and re-intensified sanctions against Iran. By the end of Trump's term in 2020, Iran's GDP had plummeted to just $260 billion. When Joe Biden came to office, he did not re-implement the JCPOA that his former partner Obama had negotiated. Instead, he reopened indirect negotiations to revisit the JCPOA and maintain sanctions where they were, neither raising nor reducing them. This gave Iran an opportunity to adapt to the sanctions, which helped them to increase their GDP to $435 billion by the end of the Biden administration in 2024. Then Trump returned to office and immediately intensified the sanctions again. His Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced U.S. sanctions would slash Iran's oil exports by 90%. In the first year of Trump's administration, Iran's GDP dropped by over $100 billion, back to just $350 billion. These sanctions have ravaged the Iranian economy. Just listen to Scott Bessent talk about the impact of these sanctions today.
There are Treasury sanctions, and if you look at a speech that I gave at the Economic Club of New York last March, I said that I believe the Iranian currency was on the verge of collapse, that if I were an Iranian citizen, I would take my money out. President Trump ordered Treasury and our OFAC division, Office of Foreign Asset Control, to put maximum pressure on Iran, and it's worked, because in December, their economy collapsed. We saw a major bank go under. The central bank has started to print money. There is a dollar shortage. They are not able to get imports. And this is why the people took to the street. So this is economic statecraft. No shots fired. Things are moving in a very positive way here.
Inflation.
Honestly, I'm starting to agree more with Vladimir Putin. Now, no, hear me out. Vladimir Putin said the only thing that the American people know, or should I say the only thing that Europe understand, is war. Okay? Iran is a country that doesn't want to get involved in war. It just wants to do business with its neighbor and just live in peace. I can see that, and just, rule the way they want to be ruled. That's it. I can see that. But with that being said, still, America puts sanctions on Iran. Still, America wants to go to war with Iran. Even though Iran joined the IAEA to make sure that they do not, they were inspecting to make sure they're not building nuclear bomb. And the IAEA came out and said, no, they're not building bomb. Still, despite all of that, despite them doing everything right, America still wants to go to war with Iran. That's the truth of the matter. Vladimir Putin said the only thing they understand is war. And that's why Vladimir Putin said that if war continue in Ukraine, they're going to resort to using nuclear bomb because this is the only language the Europeans understand. And based off of their action, based off of the way America has been acting all over the world, going down into South America and kidnapping the leader, Maduro, threatening to take over Greenland, sanctioning world, anybody who disagree with America, they go ahead and just put a huge amount of sanctions on them, attacking any small country that isn't bow knee to to Israel. Again, this is what they understand. It's war. I mean, it's a sad state to be in, to be quite honest with you, but the weapon manufacturing industry, they make a lot of money, and they're also in the ears of the of presidents. They're telling president, we need you to go to war with this country. Why? Because this is going to put more money in their pocket. The more weapon America buys, the more money they get. The more contract America signs with weapon industry, the more money they get. War is profit. This is why America has been in war with different countries and different nations for over 200 years. Crazy.
Has plagued the Iranian currency known as the rial, just as the inflation has hit much of the world. The difference, however, is that Iran is under intense sanctions that severely limit its ability to stabilize its currency using foreign reserves. And recent policy decisions by the Iranian government exacerbated the situation, sending inflation skyrocketing. The Iranian government responded by offering subsidies to help Iranians cover the costs of everyday necessities. But those subsidies also worsened inflation by injecting more cash from the central bank into the economy. And distributors took advantage of the subsidies by price gouging. The sanctions, coupled with poor economic policy, caused a 72% increase in food prices in less than 1 year. And the pressure isn't just on consumers struggling to buy food, it's on business owners as well. Every day, a producer or distributor sets prices in Iranian rials, only to watch inflation rapidly change the value of the currency. That forces businesses to constantly recalculate profit margins and reprice goods just to stay afloat. With sanctions crushing the currency and inflation rising almost daily, it has become nearly impossible to conduct business. And that is what prompted business owners to unite and take to the streets, demanding that the government properly address the crisis. The protests were very large, peaceful, and organized. The business owners...
See, peaceful and organized. I don't know, maybe that's because there was no Mossad among them. So it seemed like Iranians are capable of doing peaceful protests after all. I mean, when you look at the casualties and the buildings that were burned, yeah, it is Mossad and CIA is written all over it.
Weren't demanding the fall of the government. They simply wanted this crisis addressed. The Iranian government responded immediately by replacing the head of the central bank and coordinating government policy to reduce inflation. Within just 2 days, Iran's president announced plans to accommodate the protesters' demands and serve the needs of the people, agreeing to implement 4 decisions to support merchants, shopkeepers, and unions. Now, this should have been the end of the protests, but in the midst of these demonstrations, agent provocateurs began infiltrating the protests, demanding demanding the collapse of the government and urging others to engage in violence with them. Just take a look at this clip. An undercover rioter pretending to be a shopkeeper was confronted by peaceful protesters after he tried urging them to riot. They questioned him about the business he supposedly owned to see if he was a legitimate protester. When he couldn't answer basic questions, they tossed him out of the protests. And in this video, student protests were hijacked by 3 anti-government provocateurs who tried leading chants against the government. Students responded, however, by drowning them out with their own pro-government chants and waved the nation's flag instead. There are many videos like this from the early days of the protests showing that most demonstrators were uninterested in regime change and were only focused on inflation and consumer prices.
And this is what I've been saying. Well, I got it from other people, but this is what we've been saying. The Iranian, a lot of them don't have a problem with Khamenei. They don't. It's Israel that has a problem with him. That's it. That's all you need to know. And another thing you need to know is when the protest was happening, what's one of the foreign flag that was flying all over the place? It wasn't the US flag. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not see a single US flag. Maybe I didn't see all the protests. Maybe there was one somewhere. But there was a lot of Israeli flag. A lot of it. And that's all you need to know. And when you saw that little protest, the peaceful protest that just happened, did you see any flag? Even though these people were just trying to change the state of their economic, did you see any, not their flag, but Israeli flag or No, they don't have any problem with their leader.
Didn't stop Western media and politicians from weaponizing the narrative. Right-wing platform and influencer accounts like Visegrad began posting AI slop and outright fabrications to paint the picture of a massive uprising against the government. In this video, they used footage of normal everyday activity in Iran and dubbed fake audio over it to make it appear as if it were an anti-government protest. And here, the Israeli government digitally altered a video of police supposedly blasting a protester with a water cannon. In reality, however, the police lowered the water cannon and never touched the protester. And in this side-by-side, you can see a protest with fake dubbed audio of chants against the government calling for the return of the Shah. In the real video, however, there were no such chants. The entire Zionist propaganda network began amplifying lies advocating for regime change in Iran. But that wasn't the end of it. These agent provocateurs abandoned the shopkeeper protest during the day and began their own series of riots at night. They assaulted police officers, burned them alive, and beat them to death. They set fire to mosques, hospitals, markets, banks, and police stations. This is when the Iranian government began its crackdown. Several rioters were arrested and interrogated. It became clear that they had been instigated and directed by Mossad-linked operations. In this clip, you can see a Mossad agent giving explicit instructions to rioters on how to make Molotov cocktails, what to target, and how to handle police if arrested. Other interrogations revealed that Mossad agents used Instagram to contact young, poor, naive Iranians and offered them money to carry out attacks on the government and society at large. In another interrogation, a captured rioter said he was instructed by Mossad, quote, "If you can form a 6-person team, that would be very good, and you can command them yourself." He said their goal was to engage in project killing, so people would be affected and say, "They killed so-and-so, they killed a youth," and then pour into the streets for more protests. Once the crackdown began, Western politicians escalated the rhetoric and poured fuel onto the fire. Mike Pompeo tweeted, "The Iranian regime is in trouble. Bringing in mercenaries is its last best hope." Riots in dozens of cities, Mashhad, Tehran, Zahedan, next stop, Baluchistan. 47 years of this regime. Otis 47. Coincidence? Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets, also to every Mossad agent walking beside them. At the end, he tagged the CIA director Marco Rubio and President Trump. All of this confirms the following. While the Iranian government hasn't fully addressed inflation in an effective way, it is ultimately the external pressure of Western sanctions that has produced this economic crisis in Iran. The Iranian people were not protesting to overthrow the regime, but to demand action on inflation and the rising cost of living. The Islamic Republic is not an unhinged theocracy massacring protesters at will just to cling to power. It is a nation resisting repeated regime change attempts aimed at destroying both its government and its economy. The riots were instigated by the Mossad, as confirmed by Mike Pompeo, who foolishly let the cat out of the bag, and further supported by the confessions of rioters who were arrested and interrogated.
And here's my question. Why would they go out of their way to admit that? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, and I'm still trying to figure that out. Why did Mike Pompeo or any other high people in position, even in Israel, they were admitting it on their national television that yes, Mossad is among them. So why would they go out of the way to admit that if they want a regime change? Because Iranians are just gonna hear this and see this and be like, look, this is going to cause the Iranian people to surround themselves with the Iranian flag. You do realize that, right? I mean, you're not doing them any good at all. But
this is yet another attempt to manufacture a pretext for war against Iran, with the ultimate goal of opening its economy to Western corporations and installing a Zionist-aligned puppet regime to secure Israeli hegemony in the region. Now, if all of this isn't enough for you to believe that the Mossad were behind this, just listen to Israeli media admit it.
עכשיו את ההתנהגות של המפגינים. מצד אחד אני רואה המון תעוזה, אני רואה שהם גם מאוד ממודרים, גם החומר יוצא יפה החוצה, זאת אומרת שהם קיבלו הדרכה. כנראה שיש פה הדרכה, אין מצב שזה טבעי, נטו לבד, וזה בסדר וזה לא פסול. ולכן יש פה איזה יד שבוחשת. אל תשכח שאיראן זה לאומים ועמים וכתות וקבוצות מהזרים לבלוצ'ים, לאחווזים, לערבים ולא ערבים, ולכן זה קר פתוח וקר מאוד מזמין לעבודה מודיעינית. אבל בסופו של דבר העם האיראני צריך לעשות את זה.
Now, in response to this regime change operation, Iran completely severed internet access. They did this for several reasons. Firstly, they wanted to cut off communication between the Mossad and their operatives on the ground. The moment the internet was shut down, the riots began to die down, further indicating that the Mossad was orchestrating much of this unrest behind the scenes. Secondly, they needed to prevent ordinary Iranians from developing the perception that the government was on the verge of collapse. There was a consistent theme echoed in Mike Pompeo's tweet and repeated by nearly every propagandist engaged in this information war against Iran. Quote, the Iranian regime is in trouble. For security forces to maintain order and for society at large to resist external regime change operations, people must believe the attack against them will fail. Sometimes all it takes for a government to collapse is for the population to stop believing in its ability to govern and maintain order. It doesn't matter whether that perception is objectively true. What matters is belief. By digitally altering images, dubbing audio, and spreading false claims about holocausts, genocides, and imminent collapse, Western forces were trying to convince Iranians that resisting was pointless and that surrender was inevitable. Iran cut the internet to prevent that false perception from spreading across the country. Geopolitical analyst Brian Berletic recently produced a video arguing that protecting your information space is just as important as defending your airspace or your economy. Quote, Iran, a nation with significant conventional military power, has been undermined and weakened because of its delay in securing its information space, and thus political space sufficiently from foreign interference. And while it has acted decisively in recent weeks and appears to have prepared at least months in advance, only time will tell if it is just in time or still too late. It seems Iran now understands the importance of this because it no longer hesitates to cut the internet during times of conflict. But Iran went beyond simply shutting down the internet. It appears that both Iran and the Mossad had anticipated the blackout. The Mossad responded by flooding thousands of Starlink receivers into Iran so its agents could still access the internet through Elon Musk's satellite system. Iran appears to have anticipated this move and jammed the Starlink connection. Now, it's unclear exactly how they did it, but there is speculation that China may have assisted. A JFeed article.
I thought it was Russia. I thought it was Russia that was the one that helped them actually cut the internet, but I guess I was wrong. Sorry about that.
Article wrote, quote, breaking the myth of unblockable satellite internet, Tehran utilizes synchronized ground jammers to blind 40,000 terminals, effectively turning the country into a laboratory for Beijing's future war over Taiwan. With virtually all connection to the outside world severed, Iran was able to cut off communication between the Mossad and its agents and bring the regime change operation to an end. Once it became clear that this plan had failed, Trump tweeted that he had decided not to attack Iran because they had decided not to hang the protesters. I greatly respect the fact that all scheduled hangings, which were to take place yesterday, over 800 of them, have been canceled by the leadership of Iran. Thank you, Trump wrote on his Truth Social network. Now, he tweeted this because he knew that the operation had failed, so it wasn't a good idea to get further involved because Trump is looking for an easy win. not a PR disaster. Now, just because this regime change operation failed, it doesn't mean that it's over yet. Trump ordered the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln to sail west from Indonesia toward the Gulf region. On January 18th, the ship passed through the Strait of Malacca. At its speed, it is likely already within the operational area. Carrier is accompanied by several destroyers. That places at least 90 fighter jets within striking range of Iran, not including the many U.S. aircraft already stationed in the region. On January 16th, the Warzone founder Tyler Rogaway posted, "There are not enough assets in the Middle East to execute a sustained campaign that will accomplish anything of huge consequence in Iran." He explained that the U.S. would need to build up resources and that this would take time. According to open source reporting tracking the U.S. movement of U.S. military aircraft, the buildup of air assets in the Middle East for a possible strike on Iran has already begun. Dozens of F-15s were reportedly redeployed to Muwaffaq Saltai Air Base in Jordan. Per OSINT Technical, there are now 35 F-15s in Jordan, along with tanker aircraft and C-17 flights supporting the deployment. A Chinese satellite image also recently confirmed dozens of F-15s at this Jordanian airbase. More and more U.S. military equipment is being delivered to the region, 12 flights in the past 36 hours. Interestingly, most C-17s are landing at Muwaffaq Saltai Air Base in Jordan, which would likely serve as a major launch point for an attack on Iran and for defending Israel. There are also reports that airlines are canceling flights to Israel. The Russian government has advised its citizens not to travel to Iran. Now, it's impossible to predict what will happen next. Iran has demonstrated that it can strike targets in Israel and across the region with power and accuracy. Yet that hasn't deterred Israel or the United States from threatening Iran or attempting regime change operations against it. So it is abundantly clear that Zionist hardliners are hell-bent on war with Iran, and they are desperately trying to drag the United States into doing their dirty work for them. So at this point, it isn't a matter of if, but when. The riots, the sanctions, the 12-day war, the assassinations, all of it has been planned for years by the US and Israel, and it is now being executed in real time. I've covered these plans extensively in previous videos, including Israel's use of anti-Iran proxies, leaked Pentagon plans for war with Iran, including the potential use of a nuclear weapon, and how the 12-day war unfolded. Now, if you want to watch these videos, I've put together an Iran playlist for you on my channel. If you dedicate an hour and a half, you'll become a semi-expert on US-Israel-Iran relations. The link to that playlist is in the description of this video. So what do you think? Are we on the cusp of a final battle between Iran, Israel, and the United States? Will Iran survive? Will they build a nuclear weapon? Will they shut down the Strait of Hormuz or strike energy infrastructure across the region? Let me know what you think in the comment section. And remember, if you want to support my channel and get 40% off the Vantage plan, go to groundnews.com/prop or scan the QR code on screen. The link is in the description of this video, and it is also.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, based off of what we just learned, okay, they have been trying to go to war with Iran for God knows how long now. And we are at the, at the breaking point. We're at that point now where Donald Trump is most likely going to go ahead and strike because, U.S. vessels are in striking range. And one thing that I did want to say is the fact that Jordan allowed, planes to land at their airbase to get ready to attack your own brother. I mean, seriously, your own brothers? Jordan, isn't that a Muslim country? Aren't you guys Muslim? Because Iranians are Muslim. So now Jordan is going to go ahead and help the United States and Israel to attack their brother. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to go ahead and just, give you guys a little bit of an idea of what's going, some of the reason as to why America did not really strike, did not attack Iran was, UAE says it will not allow its air base or territory to be used against Iran, which is one of the reasons why they didn't attack. I don't want to go ahead and parrot myself all over again. Another one, we finished the curse, then the blessing. I mean, the curse? Who told you that? Oh, that's why, because they're God's chosen people. So they have the authority to say who is cursed and who is not cursed. So according to them, Iran, Iraq, Syria are all cursed. Oh, and also I forgot about Yemen down there. Dude. You know what's also funny? Why isn't Sudan on here? It's all the way down there, but maybe it is. I'm not sure. But yeah, who gives this guy the authority? The guy that's been committing genocide, he's not cursed. The guy that has killed over 500,000 people, he's not cursed at all. No. the people that are cursed, according to his logic, are Saudi Arabia. Well, that are, you know, sorry, let me Iran, Iraq, and Syria and Yemen. This dude is so freaking oblivious of what's going on. It's ridiculous, man. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, our final topic. So we gotta know what's going on in Gaza. All right, I want to know what's going on in Gaza. Well, this is not really gonna go over what's going on in Gaza. I have seen this video, but I wanted to react to it because, you know, I feel like it's very it gives a lot of good information on what's going on. But in conclusion, the master plan, Jared Kushner Gaza master plan is a laboratory for humanity. Let's hear what Max Blumenthal had to say about this.
And you want to talk about the master plan?
Yeah, well, Jared Kushner has unveiled the master plan for Gaza, aka the Master's Plan. He did this at Davos, the gathering of global elites, and this is the brainchild of the so-called Board of Peace, which is headed by Donald Trump with the blessing of the UN Security Council. Because recall that at a recent meeting of the UN Security Council, Russia and China did not veto a measure that basically makes Trump the leader of Gaza forever. Even after he leaves the White House, he'll still be the head of the so-called Board of Peace. And so Jared Kushner unveiled their so-called master plan for Gaza as people are still being killed every single day by Israeli bombs, as people are still suffering because they lack food, they lack shelter, all being blocked by Israel, as infants are still freezing to death. Jared Kushner went to Davos and presented to us this dystopian master plan.
This is Jared Kushner, who nobody elected, who is not a member of the U.S. government, has no official position. He is merely the son of a Jewish Zionist billionaire who Trump pardoned and who was I think a business partner of Trump. And
it's a little bit foggy. This is not from my end. I try to clear the blur, but because I was trying to read this, but it's really hard to read that. But that's on their end.
Is now Trump's son-in-law through Ivanka. So he gets to determine the future of the long-suffering population of Gaza through his explicitly titled master plan.
So we did a master plan. We brought in, I think, Yakir Gabay, who's one of the most successful real estate developers and brilliant people I know.
We really need
He's
to watch
volunteered to do this, not for profit, really because of his heart. He wants to do this. And we've developed ways to redevelop Gaza. Gaza, as President Trump's been saying, has amazing potential. And this is for the people of Gaza. We've developed it into zones. In the beginning, we were toying with the idea of saying, let's build a free zone, and then we have a Hamas zone. And then we said, you know what, let's just plan for catastrophic success. Hamas signed a deal to demilitarize. That is what we're going to enforce. People ask us what our plan B is.
Yeah, I look, kind of wish that I can see these right here because I want to read it for myself. But like, it's so hard to read because of how blurred it is. Come on, Max. The least you could have done was give me a good quality video, man.
Do not have a plan B. We have a plan. We signed an agreement. We are all committed to making that agreement work. There's a master plan. We'll be doing it in phasing. In the Middle East, they build cities like this in 2-3 million people. They build this in 3 years. So stuff like this is very doable if we make it happen. Rothel will start with. This will show a lot of workforce housing. We think this can be done in 2-3 years. We've already started removing the rubble and doing some of the demolition. And then New Gaza. It could be a hope. It could be a destination. Have a lot.
I mean, I just gotta say, imagine how evil these people are. All right, imagine how evil these people are. As this is playing, I'm just gonna go ahead and pull up some images of Gaza, and yeah.
Of industry and really be a place that the people there can thrive, have great employment. Once this starts going, we think there should be 100% full employment and opportunity for everybody there. And we have a lot of data on what can be, but we think that this really gives the Gazan people an opportunity to live their aspirations. But it all starts with security and it all starts with governance. Final note I'll just say on the Board of Peace, which is that all the lessons we're doing is we're basically studying the best practices from all over the world, and we're watching who does education the best, who does healthcare delivery the best. All these things it's not secret IP. All this is IP that the Board of Peace is going to make public, and we want to encourage all the countries to be able to follow these best practices. A lot of the things that President Trump is doing in America, if they're working, we should all be copying them. If we find what's working in other countries, we should be copying them too. And so what the Board of Peace will have the ability to do if we're successful with Gaza is really show how do you do peace implementation, which is something that when we got this deal done, we didn't really find too much expertise or know-how on how to do it. So as we're creating this system, hopefully it's something that we can just document these learnings and make them available to all else who want to use them in the future. So demilitarization, this is something we're starting now. We have a new government in Gaza. This government will be working with Hamas on the demilitarization to really take the principles that were agreed to in the document to the next phase, and hopefully that will be successful. Without that, we can't rebuild. So if Hamas does not demilitarize, that will be what holds back Gaza and the people of Gaza from achieving their aspiration, and that's very important. So the next 100 days, we're going to continue to just be heads down and focused on making sure this is implemented. We continue to be focused on humanitarian aid, humanitarian shelter, but then creating the conditions to move forward. So thank you. Final point I'll just make is this.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you guys this image right here. So as you can see, this is Gaza really, or this is Palestine, because you know these people are just pure evil. You know, like this is how these people are living. All right, And they already have a master plan. Now, they've been planning this for God knows how long. Now we're starting to hear about it. Now they're telling the public this is what we have planned. They're making it seem like they just came from the top of their head, due to all the war that has started back in October 7th of 2023, right? Now they're making it seem like, oh, when that war started, that's when we came up with it. No, they've had this plan for decades. They've had this plan for God knows how long. It's crazy. Look at this. This is what they're trying to clean up. Their whole goal was to literally demolish everything. That's the whole plan. They had nothing. Their intention was not to, get rid of Hamas. That was not their intention. They're the one that funded Hamas in the first place. I made a video in the past where Benjamin Netanyahu is literally guilty of telling the Saudi Arabia to give Hamas money to keep them in power. And now they're making it seem like, like they had no part in this. That's the whole plan. All right, let me go ahead show you guys another one here. Yeah, because like I said, X tends to have sometimes it'll pop up some very, very graphic videos that you don't want. I don't want this video to be taken down. So let me see this. Hey, look at this. Okay. And so, this is okay. So Israel seek peace, peace of Argentina, Chile, Iran, Somaliland, Cyprus, Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, the West Bank, and Gaza. Yeah, these are the most moral people in the world, by the way. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. They are the most moral human beings on the planet. And this is what they're doing to human beings. They don't care. They don't care. This is how the people of Gaza are living. It's cold, it's freezing, it's flooding. And yet, instead of telling the people, getting Israel under control to stop bombing innocent people, they come up with what they call the master plan.
They had already.
Let me see this real quick.
He then focused in on the city of Rafah, saying that they had already begun removing the rubble, and that the area could also be renovated within 2 to 3 years. He also spoke about the enclave as becoming a destination with transport hubs. There's even an airport, something that Gaza hasn't had, an airport right there at the end on the border with Egypt as well.
I'm just going to say this. Candace Owens said it, and I'm going to go ahead and repeat it. Anybody who takes a vacation and goes to Palestine after the decimation of the Palestinian people, I hope you and your family and your generation, everybody from you on until the end of the world, they're all cursed. I hope so. I pray to God that's what happened. Anybody who goes here, anybody who says, you know what, I plan on taking a vacation to Gaza to go sit on the beach. I hope you're cursed and your whole entire family line. Yeah, I mean it. I mean, this is unacceptable. There was a cartoon that was made, and I genuinely believe that cartoon depicted perfectly. Pretty much, it was Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu relaxing on the beach, and then there was a little kid digging human bone out of, in the ground, and just running around with it. That's what the cartoon portrayed. And so look at this. So this right here, this image is Gaza, and then this one is Hiroshima. They didn't drop a nuclear bomb, but they done enough damage to where it is what? I think it was, I wish I knew the exact amount of bomb that dropped, but it's far more than what was dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. That's how much bomb they've dropped on innocent people, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. This is because of Hamas, by the way. Oh, it's not because they're trying to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian. It's not because they're trying to force the Palestinian out to bring them into Somaliland. No. It's because Hamas went ahead and did October 7th, even though they started a war back in 1948. I mean, like, these people are... Did you know Gaza is the #1 place for child amputees? Look at before and then after. Every time I see this, it reminds me of what what's his name? Ben Shapiro said. He said, "Oh, Arabs are known to destroy things. Meanwhile, they're known to build societies and stuff like that." And then I see this, and I'm like, "Huh? Would you look at that?" Because it seems to me like Arab built this, and then the the Israelis went ahead and destroyed everything. Every accusation or every confession is an accusation, or every accusation is a confession. There you go. Every accusation is a confession. Everything that they accuse the Palestinians of doing, they have done it to 100 times X. They have done it 100X. You name it. Anything they have accused the Gazans of doing, they have done it. I mean, like, look at this, bro. There are 10,000 of children still under the rubble in Gaza. This is an estimate, ladies and gentlemen. This ain't even the actual number. And in my personal opinion, after videos that I have seen, after the destruction, it's far more than 10,000. I'm not gonna lie to you, it is far more than 10,000. And these are the people that have the audacity to say that they are God's chosen people. These are the people that, look, this is what they had planned. This is what they had planned. They literally want to turn Gaza into a vacation spot. And that's why I say any family who decides to pay and go to Gaza on vacation, I hope your whole entire generation is cursed. All of them. And I mean it. And this reminds me of this video right here. Look at this. Let me mute that. I don't know if this music is going to get my video to be taken down, but you get the idea. Look at this. Before and then after. And they have the audacity to go brag on the internet. Oh, if you mess with the Jews, this is what's going to happen. This is not a flex. This shows us who you really are. The people who did this are the ones who are crying, oh, poor us. You did this. What did the trees do? I've seen videos where they've literally just they shoot animals. I've seen videos where they're throwing cats off roof. I've seen videos where they're literally kicking off Palestinians off of roof. God knows how long the distance is, but it's technically to kill them. And look at with the three Palestinians. I'm just wondering, where's humanity in all of this? And then you got this dude over here. Breaking news. China announces it will punish Israel over the destruction in Gaza. Yeah. What the fuck are you? They've done it all. They've destroyed everything. How many more do they need to destroy in order for you to say, okay, enough is enough? Human rights organizations, they've all unanimously agreed that Israel is committing a genocide. And yet these guys are still served. It's just lip service. That's it. It's nothing more than just lip service. I mean, look at this. What the fuck is there to rebuild? How many more people need to die? How many more destruction? How many more bombs needs to drop in order for you to be like, okay? Because there's nothing left. Thousands of human beings have lost their lives. All because Israel lied. 40 beheaded baby. You guys remember that? Not a single image out there. They lied about that. They used Hannibal directive to kill their own people so that way they can blame it on Hamas, so that way they can do exactly this right here. They had this plan for decades, ladies and gentlemen. This was their whole plan. This is what they had planned the entire time. And now we see it put into fruition. And now look at this. Israeli parliament advances bill to annex occupied West Bank. Didn't Donald Trump say that they're not gonna occupy the West Bank? And yep, Israeli war on Gaza, there you go. This is why I don't trust his leaders whatsoever. It's nothing more than just lip service. And then they go out the UN and then they act all tough. Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu, if you don't stop, we're gonna do all this. And then they sign a peace deal. Ever since that peace deal was signed, guess what? Yeah, they've killed over 1,000 Palestinians. What kind of peace deal is that? Protest hasn't worked. People have been protesting for over 2 years. It hasn't worked. I will show you guys what I'm scrolling through, but I don't want to do that because, like I said, sometimes some images will pop up on X and I don't want my videos to be taken down. Look at this. I guarantee you they turn around and say, oh, there was a Hamas in this area. What the? Do you think this bomb is going to go directly for the Hamas? No. This right here, I guarantee you, this is a 20,000-pound bomb right here. A 100,000 missile launched by a $2 million plane traveling at a cost of $6,000 per hour to kill people living on less than $1 a day in Gaza Strip. This is what a tax dollar is doing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you don't have to like Muslims to see what's going on in Gaza and turn around and say this is inhumane. I'm not saying you have to be a big Muslim. I mean, a big fan of Muslims. But this is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. This is what they've been doing. This is why I don't want to stop talking about it, because they're just going to keep doing this. And one thing you need to understand, they believe that they are the chosen people, and the image that I just showed you, so you got to understand, they believe that they're the chosen people. And according to them, these people are cursed. In my book, well, what I believe, they believe everybody in this region is, not everybody in this region, I'm sorry, the whole world, anybody who is not that of the Jew is cursed. Because they believe that when the Messiah returns, he's going to go ahead and enslave everybody and, you know, so on and so forth. These are God's chosen people, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to lie to you. If God wanted this, I don't want to worship that God. Nah, I don't want to. No. I don't. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want to worship a God that allows the, the genocide of Palestinians to happen. I made a video in the past, and I meant everything that I said in that video about how these people, rather than the God that normal people like to think of, rather it's the devil. When they say that they're God's chosen people, it's technically they're talking about the devil. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to react to this whole entire video right here, but you guys get the whole entire idea. Really, it's just a bunch of sociopaths who have decimated human life now wants to go ahead and create a peace organization to rule over those people, to pretty much rule over the whole entire Middle East. But that's a whole goal in that. But anyways, if you made it this far, ladies and gentlemen, I hope I got my message through. And if you made it this far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll make more live video once I learn more about what's going on, because I'm still in the process of learning everything, because this is crazy. This is extremely crazy. And to be honest, the only thing I can do is just talk about it.